Hi, this is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm here to share a couple of my favorites from the new August through December Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog. I'll be using little treats and warm wishes for some clean and simple projects. So let's get started with the creating. So for my first favorites, I'm going to be using the Little Treats stamp set and Warm Hugs. I like both of these because, as you can see, if I hold them where there's no glare, there are lots of little images to choose from, and I personally love to make little RAKs. That's what I call the just little treats or gifty things that I make to randomly hand to people that I'm meeting up with. So let's set these aside and we'll get started. So I have a 2x3 piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to use the Scalloped Tag Topper Punch, which is in the annual catalog. And let me just flip this over and make sure that I've got it centered and give that a punch. And then we're going to add a little detail to this with that cute little banner from the Little Treats stamp set. And I'm using that in Magenta Madness. And I'm just want to cross these. And I could mask, but I'm not going to worry about a little bit of overlapped stamping. And then here along the bottom, I'm using some dots. There's a little square of them in the Warm Hugs stamp set. Let me just line this up on my grid paper, and I'm going to start center-ish. I don't know if you can see where I am. There's a line in the grid paper that runs right down between those dots. And let's just keep that here on this grid. You could also put this in your Stamparatus and line it up. And here, just going to keep that. And then I'm going to add one more set of dots out here on the edge, and then kind of stamp off the edge on this side. And that's got a fairly even look. So let's put this away and grab my Granny Apple Green ink pad. And I've got a piece of Whisper White and this stamp from Warm Hugs. Just set that on there. And then give it a... I like to set my photopolymer stamps on the ink pad and just give them a light rub on the back rather than pouncing or tapping. Okay, let's close my ink and grab my 1.5 inch circle punch. And I'll be making a whole slew of these little tags. My daughter started a new job about 3 weeks ago, and she would like to give some treats to the team that she supervises. So we'll be making these quick and easy tags. Let me just pull that last piece off. And there we go. And let me grab my ribbon. And I've got this old olive ribbon that's from the Ornate garden ribbon combo pack that's in the annual catalog. And I'm just going to pull a loop through, as you can see on my thumb. And let's just cut this. And then I'm just going to feed these two ends up through, and we'll stick that on the treat that she'll offer. So that is number one, using some of my favorites from the new August through December mini catalog. Okay, and for this second project, we're going to be using the Warm Hugs stamp set again. And I'm going to start with a piece of Whisper White and this octagon shaped stamp that's got a little dotted detail outline, and I'm just inking it with my Versamark. And let's give that a rub all the way around to make sure all those dots transfer. And then I want my piece of scrap paper, and let's sprinkle on some gold embossing powder. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and heat emboss, and I'll be right back. So that's been heat embossed with the gold Stampin' Emboss powder. Next, I've got my Coastal Cabana ink pad and my sentiment, and I'm just going to ink that up in the Coastal Cabana, and this is lined up on my grid paper, and put this down. If you don't want to eyeball it, you can always use the Stamparatus, especially if you are making multiples. That is an excellent way to go, because you position once and quickly get to move through all the multiples that you need to do without having to line the stamp up each time. And I'm just taking my Stampin' Up paper snips and cutting around here. This is great, easy, fussy cutting with straight lines. Okay, there's our tag. Let's move this out of the way. Next, I've got the wreath builder dies, and we're going to use this one. And I've got a piece of the foam adhesive sheet here, and I'm just going to peel back the backing layer. Peel this back and make sure I'm here more or less, and I want to add a piece of Whisper White here. It helps if I can get it straightish. And then I'm going to put my die just on top here. Let me take my scissors and cut this piece away. I'll save that small bit for another die cutting run. Okay. And then we're going to put that in the new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So let me fold these pieces down and grab, I've got my plate number 1, plate number 2, plate number 3, and then we're going to put our die in with the paper and foam adhesive sheet underneath, and finally put in plate number 3. Now we'll crank this through. A little bit of crackle sound is totally normal. Let me carefully pick this up. I'm going to run it through a second time with the foam adhesive sheet. That is a little thicker cut you're asking it to make. So it's not unusual that you might need to make more than one pass. Okay, that looks like it's got it. So let's move this out of the way. And we're just going to pull this off. It's stuck to my cutting plate number 3 because part of my adhesive was uncovered. Okay, and we're just going to take that and work it carefully so that the foam adhesive sheet comes loose from the die cut. Okay, so I'm just working my way around patiently. Of course, my cardstock piece was too large for this, or larger than was needed for this. Generally, when working with the foam adhesive sheets, I like to cut it down to the exact size that I'm going to need, or closer to the exact side. Okay. And then just finish pulling this loose. Keeping it in the die helps give you something to pull against so that you're not tearing your die cut. So we've got this with the backing paper still on, and we'll set it aside. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White that I've cut this same piece out of as a layer. And then this piece of Coastal Cabana that I have embossed with the Seabed 3D embossing folder. And you might ask why 3D, the Seabed, for a Christmas card, and I have to tell you, I just liked the texture. I thought the fine detail in this looks great in the center here. And my white layer, is just a smidge larger than my Coastal Cabana layer. Okay. And let's bring in the card base, which is thick Whisper White. And I've got a strip of Coastal Cabana that is embossed with that Seabed 3D embossing folder. And I'm just going to put that right here at the bottom. And then I want some dimensionals. So let's add dimensionals on the back of this piece. So my Whisper White layer is 4 by 5 1/4, and the Coastal Cabana layer, as I mentioned, is just a smidge smaller, and it is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And that way you don't have to be quite as careful trying to line up the layer. And again, we're going to use the grid paper to straighten the card, and then add this on. You can check your spacing on 3 sides, and then this 4th will take care of itself. Next, we're going to peel the backing off of our wreath here. And then let's see if there are any. There are some slightly larger pieces still here, and I'm just going to take your pick tool and remove them. Oops. The smaller pieces that are still in, I'm not going to remove, but these will add to the look by poking them out. Oops. Okay. Now, let's pull this off my fingers just a little bit and let it take its shape again. Looks like I've got a little piece right down in here that I'm not going to want. So let's poke that out. There we go. Okay. So it only gets to be stuck to one finger, and I'm going to rotate this so that it is not exactly where it would have come out of. Oops. And I'm just trying to put it down gently. Oops, got to get that one finger it's been stuck to all along. Oh, and I'm too high. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. That's got it. Pull this finger out. And let's, this little piece here, tuck it back under. Okay. And there we go. It's kind of lacy, and then that coastal cabana is so nice under there. And let's take a couple more dimensionals here and put on our sentiment. And the bottom is going to need a little double stack, as are the sides, so that they'll be even, since the wreath has the foam adhesive under it. Okay. Oops. Oh, looks like I forgot to pull one of the backing pieces off and double stacked it. And here we go. Okay. So let's set this right in here. And then we're going to add a little bit of ribbon to that. We're going to use this metallic ribbon that's part of the basket weave and metallic ribbon combo pack in the August through December mini. And I'm just going to fold that over and then give this a quick angle cut on both sides. And pop this out of the way and grab my glue dots and add a glue dot here. And then I'm going to use the spatula end of my take your pick to put this underneath. I want to get it partially on the glue dot on the spatula, but not fully, to put that up in there. And then I can press and remove, and there's my little bit of ribbon. So there's our So Very Merry card using the Warm Hugs stamp set. So let me set this aside and we'll move on to project number 3. Okay, and for this third, we're going to make a little treat packaging, and I love treat packaging, with this little treat box die. So I've got a piece of Coastal Cabana. I've got the number 1 platform, the number 2, the number 3, and then my cardstock. And my die is just going to sit right on top like that. And then my second number 3 plate. And then we're just going to run that through. And getting a little bit of crack as you go is totally normal when die cutting. Make sure that all my lines are cut, and they are. So let's set this out of the way and take my sheet here and put the die out of the way. Okay, let's put the little box to the side. We'll do just a bit of stamping. I've got my sentiment and Coastal Cabana ink, and I'm just going to tap this onto my sentiment. Nope, let's do that again. That is not very clean. Much nicer. Okay, so I'm going to die cut this, and I'll be back and we'll put this box together. Okay, so let's take our bone folder and burnish the score lines so that this will more easily hold its shape. When you burnish, there's just a little less tension on all of the lines. And let's get these last 2. Okay, so these are going to fold up, and then you've got these tuck tabs, and you're just going to fold that right in the slit here. And for my purposes today, I am going to use adhesive, but you could just tie this together with some ribbon. So just a little dot of adhesive on both sides, and then we're going to just make sure that we've squared it up and give this a little rub here and flip it over and do the same here. And of course you got to hold for just a minute for the adhesive to hold. So let's put this back, the lid back on while I'm talking and holding. There we go. Make sure this side is good. Okay. So next I want to add my sentiment here. I love Halloween. It's just a fun reason to get creative with costumes and share a sweet treat with somebody. So I'm just going to put this on here just a tad cattywampus. And then I've also used the die cut for the spider. I don't know if you can see this fun little embossed detail that's part of the spider die. And then I've got a black Stampin' Dimensional, a mini, that I'm putting on the back. And we'll just stick that right there. And now a little embellishment. We're going to use some of this great metallic mesh ribbon. I don't know if you can see this, but it's really gorgeous. And it is on the pages with the Halloween products in the mini catalog, or of course you can find it in my Stampin' Up store. And to me, this is not Halloween specific. It's just really gorgeous. So we're going to pull this up, and let me give that a cut and add another little bit to that by tying on a little piece of this white crinkled seam binding. Let me just loop this around. So I want my mesh to stand up, and then this is just on here to tie it together, and it'll slide off easily. And I've made it much too long, so let's go ahead and slide that off and make it shorter. I'm going to untie my loop first and do that again. So this little box is perfect for a couple little Ghirardelli squares, or any of the mini candy bars, fun size even, that come out often at Halloween. I know now they appear more of the year, but a couple little cookies. Just let your imagination take you. Antibacterial. Some of those will fit in here depending on the size. So that's just a pretty little box. And that's the third of our 3 simple projects using the Warm Wishes and Little Treats stamp sets. Thank you for joining me today. This is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. You can shop with me in my Stampin' Up store, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then click the bell if you would like to receive notifications of future videos. Thanks for stopping by. Love to hear your comments. Have a great day.